Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Ethany, and today I'm coming to you with part two of 5 of getting your tarot business started. So, this is the second video on my tips and what I would suggest to get your tarot business started. So, nothing I say here is gospel, and I would like you to take what you want and leave the rest out. And this advice can be used for oracle card readers or angel card readers, healers, energy workers, and many other spiritual entrepreneurial businesses as well. I use the tarot as my main spiritual tool, and I run a tarot business, so this is the perspective from which I speak. So in the first video, I covered knowing your craft, giving yourself permission, and knowing the law. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about deciding on your business model and some of the options that you have available to you. This is not an exhaustive list in regards to how you can conduct your business and where you can conduct your business, as there are way too many options to list in just one video or one blog post. I've chosen a lot of these because I actually have experience either conducting my business in that way, or I've used the platform so I can speak also on my experience that I've had with them. So first of all, I want to really talk about the importance of having a website. I truly believe that no matter what you do, you are going to need a website. I know for myself that I certainly look at other people's websites. I look at people's websites to find out who they are and a little bit about them and kind of what vibe they give off, and I do a little bit of research. I want to know what they offer. And I think this is really important. In our digital age, I think the first thing a lot of us do is go look for someone's website, especially if they're offering a professional service. Now, you don't need a huge amount of money to have a good site, especially when there are really good providers such as Squarespace and free providers like Weebly and Wix, because those are easy to build. They come pre-packaged, so it's a lot of drag and drop, and it's very intuitive. So you can do it that way if you're a little tech phobic. I personally use WordPress, and I have for a very long time. It's great for me and my needs, and I feel like the benefit of learning WordPress is that once you have a good understanding of how it actually works, you can add and change your content and your menus and your appearance. You can add pages and all that all on your own, so you really don't need to have someone doing that for you. But that's just my experience. I've been using WordPress for a very long time now, and I probably won't go back to using free websites. So now that we've kind of covered the fact that you need a website, let's have a look at some of the business models that you may want to look into. So I'm pairing these off into online and face-to-face. And let's look on online first, I guess. So the pros for doing an online business is you get to do what you love, you get to choose what you do, you can set your own hours, you are 100% your own boss, your startup costs are low, there's no daily traffic or commute to work. You may need to come down the stairs, or you may need to go to a little studio if you decide to do some office sharing, but you can choose to just rock up to work from bed. The internet never sleeps, so you can have potential clients buying, finding you, and connecting with you 24/7, and that's a pretty amazing pro. And you can work in your PJs if you want, although I don't recommend that. Having a good routine at home is just as important as if you're going into an office, and one of the things that pitfalls that people really fall into when they start their own business is they don't treat it like a business. So I would really recommend that you get into a really good routine, whether you're going to do this face to face or you're going to do it online. So the cons that I've come across are work can be endless. There's always something to do. There is always something in my inbox. There's always another idea. There's always another offer. There's always another blog post. There's always another video. So it's a consistent, always something to do. And I feel like that would really be on any business if you're running a business. You have 100% accountability for your business and taking care of things that I touched on in my first video, such as insurance, the laws, your accountant, all that jazz, or your paperwork or your administration, until there becomes a point where you can start outsourcing it. It can be really lonely. As a matter of fact, being an entrepreneur can be very, very lonely, and I've read a few good articles on how to keep from kind of feeling like you're on your own, and that's where masterminds and groups and friends and connecting with other entrepreneurs is really, really beneficial, but it can be really lonely. And if your house is stressful, work may not be fun or be very good in regards to your prosperity flow. A messy, busy house may not be the most aligned to your work, and that's going to be very situational. And another con is that there are millions of websites and an abundance of people doing what you want to do. They're already doing it. So it can be hard to stand out. But there are pros and cons to everything, so that's just to keep that in mind. So possible online avenues is that you could have a online store. So these are already like pre-packaged, ready for you to kind of drop your content in there or design your own shop. So for example, Etsy. So I have an Etsy store. I like that for now. I may not have that forever, but I like having people being able to find me via my website and via Etsy. What I do like about Etsy is that you can do thank you codes, you can do sales codes, you can do holiday mode. Like, it has a lot in there that they already take care of for you. Some of the things with Etsy is like there's a 20 cent USD charge per listing. It's so much cheaper than eBay, although you can use eBay. There is a 3.5% transaction fee on the sales price, but they don't include your shipping costs when they process your fee. And there is also fees for things like cancellations and accepting direct payments and things like that. So you always want to make sure that you read the fine print on stores like Etsy. Store Envy is another really big one. You can set your site however you want it. You can do a lot of really cool customization. You can have pages as well that explain things like your policies and your terms and conditions, commonly asked questions and things like that. But the only reason I didn't kind of go with them in the beginning was because they use Stripe to process payments, and I didn't want to go with them. I already have a business PayPal account, so I wanted to keep using that. Or you could use a plugin on your site like WooCommerce and sell directly from your website, or just set up things like PayPal buttons, which is what I've done for a long time. So direct readings, if you're taking those in via your website, via phone, via things like Etsy and Store Envy, you can do these via Skype or email or via the phone, or you can record your videos and send people the links. Now, I know a few people who do that. So there are many avenues in which you can do direct readings and have direct readings with your clients. Another online avenue as well is having a product. So a little note on products, and I've spoken to a lot of my clients about this when I'm coaching them. Any product that you do, whether it's an ebook or a course or a deck or anything, or a book, is going to take a lot of time and energy and often money and things like that to get started and to get going. But once you have it, it can be a really good source of continuous income as long as it's successful, and as long as you're smart about it, right? Like you don't want to go and put yourself $20,000 in debt for something that you could do scaled and have that as a smaller risk, I guess, to your business, depending on where your business is at. The other thing about products is that the profit on products can be lower than other things, like such as services, and the expense in getting them done. It can be very high as well, but it's also a really good one. So you really have to think about whether this is right for you. So you can make a product like a tarot deck or an oracle deck. You can import or sell other people's products that are aligned to your business. Or you can work on commissioned work and customized creations like art or really anything that, if you're a very creative person, packages, people do little spell boxes. There's just so many things that you can do in regards to products. So online for getting paid, you are going to have to look at how you're going to get paid. And I did mention Stripe. Squarespace is another one if you decide to go with them for your website, and they will process your payments that way. I've used PayPal for years, so I'm really happy with their service. I'm certainly not getting paid to promote them, but they have been very good to me in regards to I've never had a problem. So I use PayPal. Now let's have a look at face-to-face businesses. So some of the pros are going to be the same. So you get to do what you love. You get to connect with real people and be a part of your community. Word of mouth clients are easier to find when you work face to face. I found that I've done both and I continue to do both, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. But I find that when people meet you, there's that real connection there, and they're probably more likely to recommend you to their friends than if you're online. I think they still will recommend you to their friends, and I've had many people come back 3 or 4 or 5 times. I have people I know like clockwork are going to book readings, every year or every 6 months, and they recommend their friends. But I just feel like that face-to-faceness, that connection can really be wonderful for building community and building a client base. Now your risks are lower when you work from a reputable store, so that's another pro. So if you go in to work at a store as a healer or a reader, then you're not having to put up all of the collateral for the whole thing. You can set your own hours to a degree as well. So for example, this month of February 2016, I am a guest reader at Reflections Books here in Vancouver. And I could say yes to that, and that's how I could set my hours, but the shop hours are set, so it is to a degree. Your money cycle will be more noticeable, and I have put this in pros because it's a pro and a con. So that'll be the first con I touch on, I guess, because you're going to have peaks when you work and then not much when you don't. So talking about that as a pro, when you do an event or you have a party or you do readings for a day, you're going to have a spike in your profit, but then the next day, the next week kind of thing, it could be a little less than that because you're going to have peaks and flows. So that's the con. When you're not working, you're not working. And that can be good for some people, need that actual break. Like if they had something they could be doing 24/7, like working online, they would work 24/7. And I certainly struggle with that myself, trying to take breaks. So if you find that might be a little bit like you, then maybe having things that's just face-to-face so that you can completely disconnect when the day is done is best for you. Another con for working face-to-face is taking holidays can be really hard. Now, this can be said to be the same thing for online, but I know, for example, if I want to go to Australia and see my family, I can work from Australia. I can do pretty much everything but post my decks, and I can give that to a friend here, or I can take some with me. I could delegate that out while I'm gone. So I can run my business from pretty much everywhere. Whereas when you're working face to face, you're basically there when you're demanded to be. So it can be harder to take holidays, especially when you're getting started. Another con, and this is a big one, is that you'll be working when everybody else is having fun. So weekends, nights, holiday periods, especially holiday periods, are really busy. And this can be the same for online work too, but you can schedule people in for later. Um, I know that I spend a lot of time, and I still do, like Friday nights once my baby goes to bed, I usually work, or I work during his nap times and things like that because I'm maximizing my ability to work. But at least I can take like holidays off if I choose to do so. Whereas if you're doing fairs, say for example around the holiday period in December, that can be very difficult because that's an amazing time for a lot of retail sales, but you're still going to be working on a Saturday and a Sunday when all those people who've been working during the week have the money to spend are going to be shopping. So that's something to really take into consideration. Another con is some areas are not very open to the work that you do. Some areas geographically can be shocking for trying to do this kind of work, and we've spoken about this. I've spoken about this, sorry, in some of my spiritual videos, my spiritual journey videos in regards to location. And it can be really hard to kind of put yourself out there if you're not surrounded by a community that's receptive. And then my last con for working face to face is the setup cost can be more if you're going to have a physical location. So if you're going to open a market stall somewhere like in a tourist market, if you're going to actually open up a shop, those sorts of stuff, you are going to have a lot more of a setup cost. So getting paid, working face to face. So when I work face to face, I accept payments via check, direct deposit, Square Reader, and cash. Now I love my Square Reader. I take it with me everywhere. And because you can accept credit cards, I find that it works really, really well. I would highly recommend getting one if you don't have one. So what do I personally do? So I carry out my business both online and face to face. I like working a bit of blend of both, and I like the flexibility of online work. A lot of businesses need face to face for their clients, like healings, but there are always different ways that you can integrate online revenue systems and streams into your business. So I've touched on a few of the things that are available to you for face to face, but I want to talk about a couple of my experiences. So face to face, you may want to do parties like bachelorette parties, or you will do tarot parties or tarot dinners. I've seen restaurants do that where they bring in people or they have an event. I remember an IKEA, when an IKEA opened, they had a really well-known tarot reader come in and do readings for the day. So there are things like that. You can do things like that. You can do corporate events. I've read it, corporate Christmas parties and corporate retreats. So there are a ton of different options there too. I really have enjoyed all of those experiences. It can be very different, but if you're working, you're kind of out there, so you have to be really comfortable with being out there. You can't kind of hide behind the internet. And if you're working in a town where you feel like everyone knows each other, then you have to be really comfortable with what you're doing. I have actually put a little worksheet together for you over at ethany.com, and I'll put the actual direct link below. And I've actually put a lot of the avenues for both online and face-to-face, so you can see which ones inspire you and which ones you get excited about and what options may be open to you. So I highly suggest you go and have a look at that too, so that you can get a full spectrum of the ideas that I've plotted out for you. So my advice is to follow what makes you excited and what suits your individual situation. If you're on a shoestring budget, then I wouldn't, as I mentioned before, put myself into massive debt starting a business that I'm not sure I could support. You're already putting yourself in a line of stress and having all these things hanging over your head. So therefore the passion can be taken away from it, because all you're doing is worrying about the sales and worrying about, gosh, I've got to make ends meet this month. The best thing I ever did for my tarot business was have it as a side hustle while I worked full time. It was a great way for me to do what I loved. It was a great way for me to continue to have passion for the tarot while I built my client base and my reputation, And then it also allowed me the money. So once I took care of my living expenses and things like that, I could put extra money back into my business because I had steady income coming in and I could plan that. And that is so great if you can do that. And it takes time. So I was chatting with a very well-known tarot lady, the tarot lady, about businesses, and a lot of us can be looking for that magic pill or that silver bullet, and there really isn't any. I mean, you may have to have the side hustle for a number of years, but you're still creating a sustainable business. You're still creating something, and I've always said, if you can do at least one thing a day to move your business forward to where you want it to go, in a year's time, you would have taken 365 steps. And that's a lot. Even if it's just one little step, it's still progress. And then when I was ready and when I was able to transition, I had a lot behind me. I had security, I had time, I had capital, I had capital, and I was able to create decks. I was able to look at doing coaching training so I could add that to my practice. I could open an academy, like all those things. It was such a blessing to have it as a side hustle, and there's no shame in having your business as a side hustle. I know a lot of people who do it. So as I mentioned before, I've created a little worksheet for you to download over at ethany.com. It has a whole bunch of options, and then it allows you to kind of take some time to reflect on what may be suitable for you. And I'll put the link below. And I always want to hear from you. I want to know what you want to learn about running a spiritual entrepreneurial business, what you want to know about running a tarot business or an angel card reading business. Let me know so I can make videos for you. And if you're running a business currently or you're looking to start your spiritual business, I'd love to invite you to join me on the 20th of February for a mastermind training session. It's called Your Ideal Clients and Where to Find Them. Very Harry Potter inspired title. So we're going to look at, are you speaking to your right tribe? Do you know who your right tribe is? What about your offers? Where are all these people? Are you targeting the completely wrong audience? That's why no one may be buying from you. So it's only $13. Yeah, $13. And it's going to be a workbook too. And if you can't make the live session, you'll have instant access, lifetime instant access to the replay afterwards. And I'll pop the link below for you as well. So thank you so much for joining me on part 2, and I will be back next week with part 3 of starting your tarot business or your spiritual healing business. And thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you have liked what you've seen today.